White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, you're here now. You are the great and famous Karoline Leavitt. Karoline Leavitt is the youngest White House press secretary in history. She is also a driven worker and a rising star in the public eye. Karoline Leavitt is the White House press secretary. Let's bring her in for more. But behind the cameras and the news stories, she has a different side that only people close to her really understand. The world doesn't see a lot of her personal life or the journey she's been on with Nicholas Riccio. Let's talk about what Nicholas Riccio, Karoline Leavitt's husband, meant when he said, "She is not who you think she is." Taking Karoline Leavitt on her journey, here's a bigger picture of the story before we tell you what Karoline Leavitt's husband, Nicholas Riccio, recently said about his wife. First, let's talk about who Karoline is. Everyone in the small New Hampshire town of Atkinson knows each other, and people are expected to work hard. This is where Karoline Leavitt's story starts. Karoline was born into a family that ran both an ice cream shop and a used truck lot in nearby Place des. Upsizing and working hard were just normal things to do in that home. What do you think it must have been like? There was the smell of fresh ice cream one side of her house, and the sound of engines running on the other. It was a unique mix of experiences that shaped her personality. Karoline learned early on that life isn't easy. However, you can achieve great things if you are ready to put in the time and work. She picked up the skills and attitude she would need to take care of her future while helping her parents run the shop, talking to customers, and watching them run their business. She went on with her journey at Lawrence, Massachusetts' Central Catholic High School, where she was more than just a student. In the classroom and on the baseball field, Karoline was better than most people. She got a grant to go to St. Anselm College in Manchester, New Hampshire, because of how good she was at the field. For a moment, think about how hard it must be to balance the stress of college work with doing well as a student sport. That level of discipline doesn't appear quickly. It's something that was built up over many years of hard work and commitment. Karoline pushed herself out of her safe zone and tried new things at St. Anselm. As she worked toward a degree in politics and communications, she became interested in the media, which would become her job. In fact, she started the first radio club at her college, which was very brave for a mere student. That's just how she is. When there's a chance to make something new, she doesn't wait for someone else to do it. Karoline got her start in the professional media business while she was in college by working at WMUR-TV, a Hearst TV station in New Hampshire. Her internship wasn't just an easy one where she got coffee and watched from the sidelines. As she learned the ropes of news, broadcasting, and fast-paced reporting, she did it herself. Have you ever felt like you were exactly where you were supposed to be? That could have been the case for Karoline at WMR-TV. She was getting experience in the real world that would help her get ready for much bigger chances in the future. She worked in the media, but she also joined the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. She got to see firsthand how leadership, communication, and public service worked together. It was another step on her path that helped her remember what she already knew. She wanted to work in a field that saw her voice as important. There was more to graduating in 2019 than just getting a degree. Karoline saw it as the moment when all the things she had worked for began to come together. Karoline was ready for the next task. She had a strong background in media, a strong work ethic from her upbringing, and a strong desire to make a difference. Karoline Leavitt saying that she is running for Congress in New Hampshire. As she looks back, it's clear that everything she did, from scooping ice cream at her family's shop to starting a radio club, helped her become the person she is now. Making a good name for yourself. The path Karoline Leavitt has taken in her work has been anything but dull. She went from being a girl from a small town in New Hampshire to being the White House press secretary. Her trip was marked by drive, determination, and a strong desire to make a difference. How did she get here, though? Let's begin with the beginning. We already said that Karoline was used to working hard because she grew up in Atkinson, New Hampshire. Her family had two businesses that needed steady attention, an ice cream shop and a used truck lot. Was born and raised in this state in a middle-class family with a small business. As a child, I learned quickly while working at the ice cream stand my family owned. Think about all the early mornings and late nights that were spent making sure everything went well. That's where Karoline grew up, in a world where hard work paid off. Success wasn't given to you. That work attitude helped her in school as well. For her, Central Catholic High School in Lawrence, Massachusetts wasn't just a place to learn. She loved sports and competition, and she never gave up when faced with a task. Because she was so determined, she got a grant to go to St. Anselm College, where she continued to work hard in school and sports. There was more to college than just studies and softball. It's where Karoline found her love for speech and the media. She constantly looked for ways to improve herself and learn. She even started the first radio club at her college, which was a sign that she would be in the news soon. One of her best breaks came while she was at St. Anselm. She did an internship at Fox News. So this arrest at Columbia University is the first of many that will happen. For most students, jobs are just something they have to do. But for Karoline, it was a great chance. She didn't just look, she took it all in. Every conversation in the newsroom and every planning meeting was an opportunity for her to learn. Then, an even better chance came up, a job at the White House. Can you picture how that must have felt? You felt like you were a part of something much bigger than yourself when you walked into one of the world's most powerful institutions. The president then made a speech after reading those things. When she was a junior, she worked in the White House Office of Presidential Correspondence during the summer. There, she saw how communication works at the top level. Understanding the link between authority and the people was the point. Every letter was a person's opinion, a worry, or a part of their life being shared with the government. Yesterday, the president also spoke to the stock market. It shows a single moment in time. Karoline saw for herself how words could change laws and how messages could move a whole country. Karoline didn't waste any time after she graduated in 2019. She went back to the White House, but this time she worked as Kayleigh McEnany's assistant press secretary. Take a look. She is only fresh out of college, but already has one of the hardest jobs in the media in the country. It wasn't just writing comments. They had to deal with the media, talk about national issues, and stay calm when they were being closely watched. But that wasn't the end of her trip. As soon as the new government took over, she moved to Capitol Hill and became the communications director for Representative Elise Stefanik. Here, she got better at writing messages, coming up with plans, and dealing with the fast-paced world of political media. In the White House, it was about shaping national stories. On Capitol Hill, it was about winning in politics. Karoline had made a good name for herself by 2022. She was young, determined, and not afraid to be the center of attention. So when she had the chance to run for Congress in the 1st District of New Hampshire, she did. There's more to running for office than just giving talks. You need to connect with people, hear what they have to say, and show that you're the best person for the job. Karoline took on the task and gave her campaign a lot of energy and drive. She didn't just rely on ads or endorsements from other politicians. She went out and met people in person to make sure they knew she was serious. Many lawmakers were shocked when Karoline won the primary, even though it was a tough race. It had paid off that she could connect with people and get her point across. She lost in the general election, but the experience made her a rising star in the field of public speaking. Even though she lost a race, it didn't stop her. Karoline changed her focus and now uses her skills to work with different companies and media projects. But it wasn't long before she was the center of attention again. She was set as the national press secretary for Donald Trump's 2024 campaign in January of that year. This was an important part of one of the world's most watched election campaigns. Karoline was now in charge of coming up with ideas, dealing with the press, and making sure the campaign's voice was heard. She quickly got a lot of attention. They were on CNN Live. She was taken off the show this morning after a heated argument that went viral. Find out more about Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, and how often he has compared President Trump to Adolf Hitler. I'm going to end the interview, ma'am, if you keep insulting my coworker. After something like that, some people might have given up. But Karoline didn't. She added to the trouble by being firm in her messages and making it clear that she wasn't afraid of having tough talks. One of the things she loves most about him is that. She once said, he doesn't have social media and he's an introvert, which is the exact opposite of me. Even though he was shy, he became her biggest fan and was always rooting for her behind the scenes. A lot of people think they know Karoline Leavitt, the calm and smart press secretary who is always sure of herself on stage. I've already told you that Elon Musk works for the government in a special way. If you will, you could say that he is a top advisor to the president in the executive office of the president. Nicholas Riccio, on the other hand, really knows her and can see the woman behind the news, the person who sleeps with their child at night, the person who enjoys small things, the person who leans on him when life gets tough. Their story shows that the strongest ties can form between people you least expect to meet. Nicholas may not want notice, but Karoline can't deny that he has changed her life. He's her rock, the man she picked to spend her life with, and her biggest fan. A love that has no problems. Many people believe that a big age gap in a relationship makes it less balanced, but Nicholas Riccio and Karoline Leavitt show that's not true. People are interested in how they got married after 32 years apart, but their relationship is based on something much more important. Nicholas is a famous real estate developer who has built his business over many years. In business, he's used to being in the spotlight, but when he's not working, he'd rather be alone. It's not because he doesn't like how famous his wife is. He does it because he really loves seeing her shine. Karoline is the youngest White House press secretary in history. She is always in the news and in front of the cameras, asking tough questions to go after Joe Biden's political opponents, and the person in charge of this case is dishonest and very biased, and a bad judge. Her knowledge, poise, and confidence make people pay attention to her. Some guys might feel pushed aside by a partner with so much power, but Nicholas doesn't. He takes it in. He's my biggest fan. What Karoline said about her husband is true. It's him who stands behind her and gives her unshakable support as she handles one of the most important jobs in the country. He's supporting her while she's out making history, not because they are afraid or jealous, but because they love and admire each other. Nicholas is very different from most men, who might not like the idea of their wife being the center of attention. He has nothing to show. It's clear that he did well. Besides that, though, Nicholas gets something that most people don't. There is no grumpy Nicholas in the background when Karoline is in front of the cameras, on the stage, or making news. He's happy and proud of the woman he married. He is also sensible. Karoline has to travel, talk at events, and work hours that are hard to predict because of her job. Nicholas makes sure that their home life stays stable. In spite of the chaos and politics, he plays a big part in raising their son, Nicholas Robert, and make sure that their family runs smoothly. Karoline has gotten a lot of respect for more than just being the press secretary. Her impeccable sense of style is another reason. When you're in the public eye, everyone looks at everything. I'd like to make a few points. First, there was great business news this morning, despite what the media and so-called experts said. From the things she says to the clothes she wears, Karoline has used them to show who she is. When she spoke at her first official White House press conference, she made a statement with both what she wore and what she said. It is thought that the beautiful blue-gray coat she wore had fur-lined sleeves and cost $500. It was made by LPA and named Giovanna. The tight waist and dramatic collar gave off a sense of both power and grace, setting the tone for her time in office. At that point, it was clear that Karoline wasn't just a politician. She was going to be a fashion star. The clothes she wore kept getting her attention. On Fox News, a few days into her new job, she wore a stylish black pea coat and classy black leather gloves. The style was sharp, businesslike, and easy to pull off. It was paired with a cream-colored top that had one handmade gold button that made it look just right. That being said, Karoline isn't afraid to make brave decisions either. She wore an eye-catching red wool coat to a public event. Red is a color that is often linked to strength and drive. With black leather boots that reached the knee and a thick black scarf, the outfit was both strong and classic. Let's talk about her accessories too, because Karoline knows how to turn heads. She loves expensive handbags and can often be seen carrying expensive brand items. A Christian Dior Lady Delight bag in navy blue and white toilet print that was part of one of her most talked about outfits was worth $5,000. It looked great on her with a navy cardigan, pants, and cream knee-high boots, showing that casual doesn't have to mean dull. Karoline didn't give up her style even when she was running for office, and things moved quickly. She was seen with the Louis Vuitton Neverfull tote bag outside of Trump Force One, a $2,000 piece that was both useful and stylish. She wore it with a Ralph Lauren crisp white linen shirt dress, the right mix of style and usefulness. You might be curious about how Nicholas feels about all the attention on Karoline. He really does love it. He knows that his wife is famous. Her rapid rise through the ranks has broken all standards and shown that age and experience aren't the only things that matter for success. Determination, intelligence, and toughness are just as important, Nick wrote about Karoline. That's why Karoline Leavitt's husband just told you, Nicholas, she's not who you think she is. It's time to say everything. He meant one thing when he said that. Karoline may look like a strict person on TV, but he knows a whole other side of her when they're not together. She is seen standing behind the podium, giving sharp answers and keeping her ground. Nicholas says that they don't see the woman I see when she gets home at night. That's what they see: confidence, drive, and control. But I can tell she's tired from the way she curls up on the couch in her sweats with a cup of tea when she finally takes off her shoes, and just wants to go see a silly love story. Karoline is seen as strong and brave by most people, but her husband knows that she has a much softer side. She knows a lot more than just politics and news conferences. Every Sunday morning, she loves to bake, Nicholas adds with a smile. She still calls her mom every single day just to check in. This makes her cry. What he likes best: the way she looks at our kid. That's when you see the real Karoline, the one who isn't planning her next big tweet or public appearance and is just a mom, full of love and warmth. How would you deal with being married to someone who is always in the news if you were Nicholas? As always, let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more. How would you deal with being married to someone who is always in the news if you were Nicholas?